Hi guys, Marvin here from TechBroll.com, where we do unboxings, reviews, and sexy B-rolls. And today we're going to do an unboxing review of the aluminum case version of the GK64 60% mechanical keyboard from Banggood.com. This is actually one of the cheapest options if you want to get a keyboard with aluminum case. And if you watch my review of the standard GK64, you'll know that this keyboard has a hot-swappable board, which makes it more appealing to enthusiasts that like to keep things fresh when it comes to mechanical keyboard switches. With that said, let's get into it. Alright guys, so right here I have the packaging for the Geek GK64. In front, we have the same logo that honestly looks like the OnePlus logo. They should have named this keyboard 6 Plus GK64. Anyways, the first thing you'll notice inside the box is the universal user manual for various G keyboards like the GK61, GK62, and this GK64. The manual is written in both Chinese and English. Next, we have the braided and gold-plated USB Type-C cable with a nice Velcro strap. And then we have a small plastic here which has the switch and keycap puller. Though, like I always say, I don't recommend this plastic keycap puller as it can scratch the side of the keycaps. A wire keycap puller is the way to go, like the CIY keycap/switch puller. And finally, we have the GK64 60% mechanical keyboard right here inside a very nice felt bag, which is awesome and also makes sense to protect the aluminum case from accidental dents and damages while in transit. And not only that, the keyboard is also protected by an additional plastic cover. So I'd say although the box is a little bit beat up, the overall packaging is pretty decent. Alright, so at first look and touch, it does look a lot different from the GK64 plastic version that I previously reviewed. It is quite heavy at around almost a kilogram at 904 grams. And the design and finish of the aluminum case look really premium. I don't see any imperfections and damages here, and of course, with aluminum case, the build quality is very good without any flex as expected. So let's go through its different parts real quick and later we'll tear this apart so that we can see its compatibility to other Geek PCBs because I know you'll be interested in that. So the layout is still a 60% layout but with dedicated arrow keys and a delete key, which makes this keyboard easier to transition with, especially for first time 60% form factor users. The only drawback that I can think of with this layout is looking for custom keycaps and some adjustment period for the smaller size shift, control, and function key. Other than that, the 64 key layout, like I said, is very easy to use. Now in terms of the design of the aluminum case, it is super sleek with different cutouts and edgy design to it that makes it less boring than usual. At the side, as you can see, it has this angle design for that usual ergonomic form factor. And I also like the fact that it has this slim cutout underneath it, making the case look slimmer than it actually is. It also has very slim bezel all around the keyboard and features a semi-floating case design, which means you can still see a part of the switches and makes it a little bit of a hybrid between a high-profile case design and a floating case design. I'm not actually sure about that description, but what do you think, guys? The keycaps on this keyboard, by the way, uses DSA profile. So as you can see, all of the keys have the same height. DSA profile, the same with XDA, is actually good for custom layouts because you don't have to worry about the difference in height on each row. Now, flipping it at the back side, we have here the USB Type-C port with a quite substantial cutout for maximum cable compatibility. And at the back, we have 4 white rubber feet and a couple of cutouts for the said edgy design for this aluminum case. Now, back in front, aside from the fact that it features a 64 key layout, it is also ANSI standard. In terms of the fonts, the alphas are significantly larger than the modifiers, which is always the case, and in my opinion, the fonts are very clean and neutral looking. We also have some sub-legends for the nav cluster layer as well as for the lighting effects. Now, one thing I noticed on the set of keycaps is that it doesn't have the usual bump on the letters F and J, but instead it has this concave shape that is very distinct from the other keys. This will serve as your guide for the home row, which is vital if you know how to properly touch type using all your fingers. Moving on, let's take a more deeper dive on the keycaps and switches. The keycaps on this keyboard is made of PBT plastic with dye-sublimated legends. These are more expensive compared to the usual double-shot ABS keycaps. And since the legends are already part of the plastic, it will never fade away, and the keycaps will also not shine that easily over time compared to common ABS keycaps. Take note though that they are also high-quality ABS keycaps, but that is a story for another day. The keycaps on this keyboard have a thickness of around 1.1 mm. Okay, so now in terms of the switches, this particular variant that we have right here has got brown switches, which I always say my favorite until I finally get a hold of a proper tactile switch like the Everglide Crystal Violet, which has a more pronounced tactile bump, and the difference is quite significant actually. But this type of switches are not usually available on these pre-built keyboards. And to be fair, Gateron Brown, like any other Gateron switches, is one of the smoothest mainstream switches that you can get on any pre-built keyboard. It is both good for typing and gaming, But at the end of the day, you just have to try it out for yourself and see if this switch is the right one for you. But in general, you can never go wrong with Gateron switches. As for the stabilizers, they are pre-lubricated and quite decent out of the box with a spacebar, enter, and shift key. Now, I usually do recommend the GK64 to people who are looking for a decent 60% keyboard for a couple of reasons. One is because this keyboard is a hot-swappable board, making it easy to change switches just in case one goes bad or if ever your preference change over time and you want to try other types of switches. The second reason, like I said earlier, is because of the layout with dedicated arrow keys and a delete key. Now, this alu-case version of the GK64, if I'm not mistaken, uses pretty much the same board as the plastic version, so it has lighting effects, customizable profiles, and whatnot that you can configure using the software, including the audio visualizer. But since this keyboard doesn't have shine-through keycaps, I'll just take this opportunity to link you to my review of the GK64 if you're interested to learn more about its features and functionalities. You can check it out here. Alright guys, as promised, let's tear this keyboard apart and see how it is constructed so that we can have an idea if this case will also be compatible with other Geek keyboards like the GK61 and the GK66. By the way, I also used this keyboard on my review of the latest box thread switch from Kale, which features a lightweight actuation force of only 35 grams. You can watch my video here if you're interested, and I suggest you do because you will learn a lot from that video. So in order to remove the plate and PCB, we just have to remove these 8 screws, and then we can simply pull it out like so. This board, if I'm not mistaken, uses the Kale universal socket, which is compatible with pretty much all Cherry MX style switches provided that they are plate mount type. Now, I'm not an expert when it comes to soldering, but it looks like the soldering on this board is pretty clean. The plate itself has a thickness of around 1.4mm. Now, removing the plate and PCB leaves us with the bottom aluminum case itself. Now, in terms of board compatibility, you can take a screenshot of this case and see if the board that you're going to use like the GK61 or the GK66 would be compatible. But looking at the screenshot of the GK61, it looks like it is. I'm just not sure about the GK66 since it has a split spacebar design. Now, let's move on to the actual performance of this keyboard. But actually before that, let's do a quick typing test so that you can have an idea of how the Gateron Brown sounds on this aluminum case because different materials also contribute to the overall sound of a keyboard. Moving on in terms of the NKRO Performance, which is a feature that should allow you to press as many keys as you want without any conflicts. As per my testing, it works quite well in any rows as you can see here. I can press at least 10 keys at the same time without any problem. As for the typing experience, like I always say, Gateron Brown is a very good option for typing as it will give you just a bit of feedback while still having a smooth up and down travel. The 64 keys layout is also good and is easy to transition with compared to other 60% layout. The home row guide is a little unusual using concave shapes on the letters F and J, but I was able to get used to it over time. The DSA profile is also quite unusual for me, coming from SA and OEM profile, but I was easily able to get comfortable with it as well. Overall, with the 64 key layout and the Gateron Brown switch, this keyboard is pretty decent for typing. Now in terms of gaming, for the most part, I didn't encounter any issues with it, except for the fact that sometimes I need to use key combinations to trigger the function rows up top. That takes a little bit more effort and time, which might be crucial for others. But if the game you play doesn't require the function keys, then you should be fine. So to conclude, the GK64 aluminum version has all the features and functionality of the standard GK64 board, but with the improved overall build quality and design thanks to its super sleek premium looking aluminum case partnered with a high quality dye sublimated PBT keycaps out of the box. And like I said, this is one of the cheapest way you can get a keyboard with aluminum case because by this you can get it with an already built keyboard unlike if you build a custom one from scratch. And there you have it guys, thank you for watching. Make sure to check the full article link below. Huge thanks as always to Banggood.com for sending this in. You can get this from the official website link below as well. And don't forget to join our Facebook community Keyboard Addicts PH to learn more about mechanical keyboards, and of course subscribe to our Second Pinoy channel. Thank you for watching, see you next time, have a great day.